Hello and welcome to this video. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about the three main raster image types. Now, raster means pixel-based. In other words, these images here that we're going to talk about, there's just a bunch of tiny pixels inside of these images that are different colors, different shades of different colors, and when they're all combined, they make this image that you see, this beautiful pug in this amazing sweater. Uh, there's other types like SVGs, there's vector graphics. We're not gonna talk about those in this video, but those are basically made with math. You can change values and get different colors and things like that, and they look great whether they're big or small. Now the big issue with raster images is you can't make them bigger. So if I were to take the picture of this pug and make it a lot bigger on the page, it would look pixelated, it would look blurry, it would look really bad. So with raster images, all three of these types, you can go big to small, but you don't ever want to go small to big because it will make the image look just horrible. Like I said, pixelated and just blurry, and it's not going to look good at all. Okay, so this first one here is a JPEG. The second one here in the middle is a PNG, and then this third one over here is a GIF. And we got down here, and I'll just kind of be writing out to the page what we talk about. So this is the HTML that I have that's creating this. We don't really need to focus on the HTML really, more just we're going to kind of write out onto the page the difference between these and when you would use which one. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is here, this JPEG. Okay, now you can see these other two images don't have a background. They're just kind of floating on the page. This one has this white background here because JPEGs, I'm going to write this here, do not support transparency. Okay, transparency just means invisible, basically. You take something on an image and you make it invisible, or you delete it, or you get rid of it. JPEGs don't have the ability to take something in an image and just say that it doesn't exist and get rid of it. So if there's any empty space in a JPEG, it's just going to put white there. So you can see over here on these other images, it's gone. You don't see anything. You see the blue background kind of bleeding through onto these images. But on a JPEG, you can't do that. So if you're trying to get rid of this white box on an image and it's a JPEG, well, you're not going to be able to. JPEGs just can't do that. Okay, so they don't support transparency or animations. Okay, so if you try to take an image and animate it, you can't do that with a JPEG. You've heard of things called animated GIFs. You've seen those in memes and things like that. Whenever you see an image that has a little bit of an animation on it, it's not a JPEG because JPEGs can't do that. Okay, so that's kind of the main issues of a JPEG, but they're good because they support millions of colors. Okay, let's bring this up a little bit. Okay, so in other words, they're good for photos. You take a photograph on your phone or camera or whatever, a JPEG is a great image format for that because it supports millions of colors. So really any type of shade of any type of different color, a JPEG will probably be able to support that, or at least do something really close to it. Okay, and then also they're really good because they usually have a pretty small file size. So you can have a big, beautiful image of whatever, a big banner image that you're throwing on your web page, and chances are the file size will be pretty good because JPEGs usually don't get that big. And you do not want your images to have large file sizes because they're going to load a lot slower on the page, and it's going to make your website look and perform a lot slower than it should. And it's just going to make it just doesn't look that professional on when your page loads really slow. All right, so that's basically it for JPEGs. So really they're good for photos, like logos and things, probably not, but they're good for just images that have a ton of different colors in them, and you need them to be small and file size, and you don't need to have the transparency or animation in it. If all of those boxes are checked, right, then I'd probably just use a JPEG. If you can't, if you need the transparency or you need some sort of animation, I'd probably go to the next one, which is this PNG right here on this second one. Okay, so PNGs are kind of like the hybrid. They do everything. They support transparency. Okay, they support animations. They support millions of colors. Okay, but the problem with PNGs is larger file size. That's kind of the trade-off. They're great, they do everything. To be honest, I use PNGs the majority of the time, but that's the big issue, is just they get larger in file size, but they do everything else. Okay, so they really are pretty good file size to, or a file type to use with images. Okay, and that brings us to GIFs. Usually a small file size, but sometimes they can get big. They support transparency and animations, but the big con here is they only support 256 colors. Okay, so if you're using a photo, kind of like this pug here, if you're using any type of image that has a ton of different colors, you don't want to use a GIF. That's why usually you'll see animated GIFs on a web page and they look kind of grainy. They look blurry. They just don't look like clear and beautiful and like HD. They don't look that amazing. It's because they only support those 256 colors. And you can see that in this GIF here. You can see that it's more jagged. You can see that it's more kind of washed out. It's not as clear as the JPEG and the PNG. It's just, it looks a lot more grainy. So to be honest, I've done a lot of websites for people and things, and I almost never use a GIF. It's usually a PNG or a JPEG. That's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But I would say that usually the GIFs, when they start to shine, is when you just have this goofy animation on an image that you want to show, and the file size needs to be semi-good. GIFs are good, because if you do an animated PNG, that can get pretty big file size wise. Where an animated GIF, it'll still be kind of big, but it won't be as big as the animated PNG. So it's kind of up to you. All right, so let's take a look. We got some compressed ones we'll talk about in a minute. But let's take a look at these. So this GIF is 64 kilobytes. The JPEG is 52. Okay, and that's pretty good. And then the PNG is 172 kilobytes. That's a lot. That's really big. Images that are about this size on a web page should only be about what these are, 40 to 60 kilobytes. That's a good size for these types of images. An image that's this big on a page should only be 30, 40, 50 kilobytes. It shouldn't be any more than that. So if I were to use this PNG, it's 172 kilobytes. That's a lot. When I go to this page, you would see that PNG kind of slowly loading depending on the connection of your internet. If it's a faster one, it may load quicker. If you got a slower connection, well, then the image is going to load really slow and it's going to make your site look just not as professional as you could. Okay, so the question is, well, what can we do about this? And this is where we're getting into these compressed images. There are websites out there that will compress your images, will make them smaller, which is really nice. So let's take a look at this one, Tiny PNG. This compresses PNGs and JPEGs. Okay, I love this site. This site is amazing, and you'll see why here in a minute. So I'm going to take my PNG and my GIF, or not my GIF, my JPEG. Okay, remember the JPEG's 52 kilobytes, the PNG is 172. So I'm going to grab these two and I'm going to throw them up here on the site. So yeah, you just click and drag them, bring them up, and then you can see what happens here. It's pretty awesome. I went from 53 kilobytes down to 28. So that was a savings of 47%. That's that's really, really good. And then this is even better. I went from 176 kilobytes to 56. So now this PNG, I would say, is usable for a web page. When it was this big before, definitely not. It's too big. But then I compressed it down to 56. That's really good. I could use that on a web page, no problem. Okay, and then you just hit the download buttons and you'll be able to download them. So you can see right here, right? So yeah, I kind of downloaded them and we can take a look and kind of compare here. So I'm going to put these in the page. We'll kind of get rid of the GIF for now. We'll put them in the page just so we can take a look and see if they really look any different. So we'll use the compressed JPEG one first. Okay, and then we'll throw in the compressed PNG one. And you know what? It'd probably be better if I did it like this, we'll have the two JPEGs next to each other, and then we'll have the two PNGs next to each other. Okay. If we take a look here, we have the pug.jpg, and then we have the original, and then we have the compressed right next to it. Then we have the original, and then we have the compressed right next to it. So that's the original, and that's the compressed. That's the original, that's compressed. It's like you look at them, is there really any difference? Not a whole lot. Maybe the compressed ones look a little more washed out. I don't know. I can't really tell. They look exactly the same to me, really. The whole point is you're saving a ton of file size, but the images look basically almost, if not exactly the same. So a really, really, really amazing website here. It does a great job. All right, so that's about it for this video, guys. Image quality and image file size is so important when you're going into the web design. It's just important also that you understand the difference between the two files, or the three different raster files types here, because once you know that, then you'll know what to use when. And then your websites will be a lot more efficient, they'll be a lot more optimized, and that's what you want. You want beautiful images that look amazing but are small in file size. And so your site is quick, it's quick to load, and it looks amazing. So if you have any questions, let us know. I'm from SkillForge here. If you want to do any training with us, we do all kinds of amazing things here. We got a bunch of different training options. We have a bunch of different courses. We do web design. We do all kinds of things. So go out, check out our website at skillforge.com. And we hope to see you guys soon in class. So have a great day. We'll see you later.